You're not tired. You're numb. Scrolling through the feed for the 10th time with a dead look, hoping some image will pull you out of the void. Put on another series to run, even without paying attention. Open the fridge. Eat without hunger. Sleep with the sound on because the silence screams too loud. And deep down you know it's not pleasure, it's escape. It's a poison that tastes like relief, a relief that lasts seconds and charges you dearly later. You're not living. You're numbing yourself. With every click, every sweet, every touch, you're just trying to avoid the most feared confrontation, being alone with what you feel, being alone with who you are. Carl Jung warned, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. You've become a master at this, learned to perform, to disguise tiredness with jokes, to hide loneliness with casual sex, to silence traumas with cheap distractions, but the pain never went away. It just changed clothes. It's there, disguised as an uncontrollable urge, as endless scrolling, as just one more episode, as I deserve this now. And meanwhile, your soul is starving. Because pleasure, when used as an escape, becomes a prison, and you're trapped. Trapped in the routine of dopamine, in the cycle of quick relief, in the invisible war against boredom, silence, the mirror. You wake up already seeking stimulation. You can no longer eat without your cell phone in hand. You can no longer sleep without filling the voids. You feel guilty afterwards, but at the moment it seems necessary. Is there something wrong with me? Why do I always need something more? The answer is brutal. Because you can't stand feeling what you feel anymore. Because your pain has become too great to be looked at head-on. So you do what every broken man has learned to do. Run, distract yourself, numb yourself. But anesthesia takes its toll. Your virility has been exchanged for impulses. Your focus for compulsion. Your inner strength for emotional and chemical dependence. You are no longer the man you dreamed of being. You are a survivor, a present body with an exiled soul. And she, the woman who ignores you, who tests you, who disappears and reappears, has also become part of this. Because now you don't just run from pain, you run after her attention, as if it were the last dose of meaning in a world that has already lost its taste. It has become the most sophisticated addiction. It doesn't feed you, but it keeps you standing, for a short time, until the next disappearance, until the next crumb. You are an emotional beggar, but with an appearance of normality. Your prison has invisible walls but very real chains, and every time you say, I deserve a little pleasure, you are actually saying, I can't stand feeling anymore. But pain doesn't go away with pleasure. It only quiets down for a few minutes. And then it comes back, stronger, louder, more hungry, and one day, it devours you completely. Unless you do the unthinkable, stop, look, face it. And at that very moment, the only question that matters arises. Are you going to continue feeding the addiction that keeps you weak? Or are you going to start forging the silence that makes you unshakable? You were trained to confuse pleasure with freedom, but what they taught you wasn't pleasure. It was distraction with the taste of anesthesia. You wake up, and before opening your eyes, your hand is already looking for your cell phone. It's not for pleasure, it's for desperation disguised as a habit. You want to escape from yourself, even before the day begins. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And your thoughts are already stained, of impulses, of escapes, of nameless hunger. You don't need more stimulation. You need more presence. But presence hurts. Presence exposes everything you repressed, silenced, pushed under the rug for years. That's why the absence of noise has become torture. That's why you turn on the television without watching. That's why you listen to music while you shower, eat, drive, sleep. Silence has become unbearable, because in silence, you emerge, and you today are what you fear most to find. You have become accustomed to replacing every discomfort with stimulation. Feeling angry? Scroll through the feed. Feeling lonely? Send a message to someone you don't even respect. Feeling empty? eat, buy, come. Everything to avoid one more second inside yourself. And the worst part is that it works, but only for a few minutes. Then comes the weight, the nausea, the feeling that you have betrayed yourself once again. Why did I do this again? Why can't I stop? Because you're not seeking pleasure. You're trying to bury the trauma. Jung made it clear. Neuroses are not born from the trauma itself, but from the refusal to confront what it left behind. You don't feel like a free man. You feel like a conditioned man, trained by instant rewards. Pleasure has become a leash, and every time discomfort pulls, you run to where you've always run. But you don't realize it, because modern pleasure is beautiful. It's accessible. It's socially accepted. You show off, post, share. But inside, you're sinking. The man who confuses pleasure with healing is condemned to repeat the same cycle until there is nothing left but the carcass. You're not tired because you live too much. You're tired because you run all the time. Every notification has become a slap on your dopamine. Every quick video has become a crumb of meaning. Every empty fuck has become a simulation of connection. But what really consumes you is the interval between these stimuli. It's that moment when nothing distracts, no one answers, nothing relieves. It's there that your soul appears. Dirty, wounded, ignored. You silence it with pleasure, but repeated pleasure becomes punishment. With each repetition, pleasure loses potency, and you, like a rat in a laboratory, increase the dose. More time on the cell phone, more intensity in the fantasy, more drama in the relationship. Everything to avoid facing that the whole is not a lack of stimulation. It's an excess of emptiness. You want to feel alive. Then stop running from the pain. Pain is the map. It's the warning that something is out of place. But you treat it like an enemy, and the real enemy laughs at your distraction. Because while you struggle between peaks and valleys, your soul rots in the basement of your consciousness. This is the modern emotional prison, an invisible cell lined with immediate pleasure, with golden handcuffs and bars made of social distractions. And the woman who ignores you, who desires you and then rejects you, who flirts with her eyes and flees with silence, she is part of this. She has become another addiction, another dopamine disguised as love, another sacred distraction that seems meaningful but is just noise. She doesn't feed you, she consumes you. You run after her not because you love her, but because she represents the validation that you yourself abandoned. Your self-esteem has become a hostage to the reaction of others. You are a man only when you are noticed. You feel alive only when you are desired. You feel worthy only when you are accepted. This is not love. This is neediness dressed as passion. It's desperation with expensive perfume. It's a search for meaning in a borrowed body. And with each rejection, you sink deeper. But never stop to think, what if I'm looking for relief, not love? What if I'm just trying to silence my emptiness with someone's body? You are. And that's why you repeat. And that's why you suffer. And that's why you feel guilty. But guilt is also addictive because it feeds the narrative that you are flawed and need pleasure to forget about it. It's a perfect cycle, a machine of emotional self-annihilation. And now, you are here. Hearing this truth because you can no longer sustain the lie. You don't want pleasure, you want peace. But to have peace, you will have to go through war. The war against your own impulses, the war against your need for distraction, the war against your addiction to anesthesia. You are on the battlefield, but you are without armor, with a dull sword, with a doped mind. It's time to wake up, because if you don't change, you will continue crawling for pleasure, while your soul watches, dying in silence. You've already tried to stop, you've already promised you were going to change, made lists, uninstalled the app, swore you wouldn't answer that message at 3 in the morning again. But as soon as the emptiness returned, and you fell again, like an addict, like someone who has lost sovereignty over themselves. And the cruelest part is that no one sees, because on the outside you function, work, talk, make jokes, pay bills, train, make stories, live. But inside, you bleed. And you bleed silently, because this pain has no name. This pain has no ready-made cure. This pain is existential. It's the pain of no longer being able to be with yourself without needing to escape. Carl Jung said, "When the inner world is ignored, the outer world becomes unbearably noisy, and your world has become noise. You need your cell phone in hand even in the bathroom. You need to open the refrigerator all the time. You need to fuck even when you don't want to. You need to talk to her, just to feel alive for a few minutes, but silence still wins, because no matter how much pleasure you seek, the hole only grows. And you feel it. In the insomnia, in the unmotivated irritation, in the difficulty of focusing, in the feeling that you are always running, but without leaving the place. Do you know why? Because you are surviving on doses of dopamine, and there is no full life in a system in collapse. You are addicted to the same pain you say you hate, and the woman who ignores you, she has become part of the cycle. You say you love her, but it's a lie. You love what she represents. You love the momentary torpor she provokes when she responds. You love the illusion of being desired. You love the drama that fills the boredom of your empty soul. You have become a servant of your needs, and she, even without knowing it, has become your favorite drug. A message from her, and your chest warms. She visualizes, and you breathe deeper. She responds coldly, and the ground disappears. She sends any emoji, and your world starts spinning again. This is not love, it's emotional withdrawal. And the worst part? You know that, but you can't stop. Because back then, when you were a child, no one taught you to feel. They distracted you from the pain with chocolate, toys, television. They silenced you with conditioned affection, and your nervous system learned, feeling hurts, escaping rewards. Today, you repeat, and you call that pleasure, but it's not pleasure, it's despair. See the scene, you alone in the room, lights off, the phone in your hand, trembling. You write, erase, write again, send, stay online, waiting. She doesn't answer. You close your eyes and repeat, why do I put myself in this situation again? Because you no longer know how to be at peace with your own silence. Because she has become easier than facing your wound. Because seeking pleasure has become less painful than asking for help. You don't need her. You need self-contact. But self-contact requires courage, and you have spent your whole life running away from yourself. It's easier to continue broken in secret. Easier to continue distracted, sexually active, emotionally doped. Easier to laugh loudly and cry silently. Easier to pretend that everything is fine than to admit that you have lost control of your own soul. You don't want to hear this, but you need to. You betray yourself every day, and every little pleasure you seek without presence is a silent agreement with your own destruction. Just one more video, just one more kiss, just one more conversation with her, just one more time. And that just one more time has become the strongest chain of your prison. You live surrounded by stimuli, but internally, you are alone. Alone like that boy who just wanted to be hugged, but heard, swallow the cry. Be strong. Men don't feel. And now this man swallows everything and takes it out on pleasure. With each escape, you repeat the original abandonment. Abandon yourself, betray yourself, silence yourself, empty yourself. You have become an enemy of your own truth. And on the modern battlefield, the man who does not govern his will is governed by the traps of the world. With each instant pleasure, you sell a piece of your freedom. And the hardest truth is this: you are being dominated, not by someone, but by your own impulses. And if you don't turn the key now, you will get used to this prison. You will accept life halfway. You will find it normal to live exhausted inside and hyperstimulated outside. You are losing the war, not because you are weak, but because you are still fighting the wrong enemy. The enemy is not the cell phone. It's not sex, it's not her. It's your inability to remain whole within yourself. And until you face this with brutality, you will continue repeating the same pattern. You will continue looking for healing in the wrong bodies, validation on bright screens, escape in every disguised pleasure, until one day you no longer recognize yourself. And on that day, it will be too late. You are at war, not against the world, but against the part of yourself that surrendered. The part that presses confirm purchase without thinking, that opens Instagram in the reflection, that responds to her message even knowing that you will come out hurt. And if you want to win this war, you need to learn to fight with new weapons. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The greatest victory is the one we conquer over ourselves." But what you have been doing is surrendering, day after day, pleasure after pleasure, excuse after excuse. You don't need more stimulation, you need more internal command. Look at yourself with brutal honesty. Have you been acting like a man or like a hostage? Because the true man is not the one who feels less. It's the one who dominates more. It's the one who feels everything, the neediness, the tension, the anger, the loneliness, and still does not bend. Do you want to know if you are in control? Try saying no to what you seek most when you are empty. Say no to immediate pleasure. Say no to the needy message. Say no to the relief that comes easily, and observe what is left. It will hurt, it will tremble, it will seem like you are dying inside, but that's exactly it. Your conditioned self is dying. The fragile structure that you called personality is crumbling, but that was just a well-rehearsed escape. Do you want to be respected by her? Do you want her to see strength in you? Then stop acting like an emotional boy who can't stand being alone. Stop begging for the attention of someone who only appears when you are already weak. Stop surrendering every time your body asks for comfort. Your body is weak. Your desire is manipulable. Your mind needs to be forged, and forging requires heat, pressure, consistency, things that you have avoided with pleasure. Stoicism is not about living without feeling. It's about living with dominion over what you feel. Epictetus said, "No person is free unless they master themselves." You want freedom? Then learn to postpone, to pause, to resist the click, the impulse, the will to fill the now. Because every time you say yes to an empty pleasure, you say no to your evolution. Imagine this scene. You wake up, the same old pain in your chest, the impulse to search for her, to look for distraction. But today you don't give in. You sit, breathe, feel. Let the anxiety scream but don't answer. Let the memory of her pass, like a cloud, and observe. It is at this moment that the war changes, because now you have returned to being the warrior, not the addict, not the reactive, not the doped man, but the man who chooses. Do you think discipline is control? Discipline is self-respect. It's saying to yourself, "I am worth more than this momentary relief." Did she leave you? Does she ignore you? Does she appear only when she wants to? Then let that become your temple of reconstruction. You will fast from her presence. You will transform the lack into fuel. You will use silence as a hammer to mold the new you. You don't need to prove anything to her, but you need to prove to yourself that there is still a man inside. A man who does not beg, who does not crawl, who does not surrender every time he feels. Do you know what is the greatest power of a man? The ability not to react, because whoever does not react governs. Whoever feels the temptation and does not touch it is forging power. Whoever desires pleasure and chooses pain is building freedom. Whoever says no firmly while the whole body screams yes is being reborn. This is the new code. Silence when she provokes you. Distance when she reappears. Neutrality when she disappears. Not as a game, but as a shield. Because you don't play anymore. You train, you discipline, you purify yourself. She was the distraction. You were the addict. But now, you become the architect of your own mind. With each no that you say, a new space opens inside you. Space for presence, for purpose, for peace. And then one day you will wake up. You will look at your cell phone. You will see that she answered. But you won't feel anything. Because you are no longer there. You are on another plane, at a level where pleasure is not a refuge. It's celebration, chosen with awareness, felt with wholeness, lived with dignity. You no longer need to run from the pain. You have already lived inside it. You have already bathed in it. You have already crossed the desert without anesthesia. Now you are ready, not to have everything, but to not need anything. This is the true masculine strength, being whole, even when you are in pieces. Being stable, even when everything inside screams. Being free, even surrounded by temptations. Do you want to be that man? Then stop running and start resisting. Today, now, in silence. Because every truly strong man is the one who has learned to endure his own emptiness without doping himself with pleasure. You don't need one more pleasure. You need a life that doesn't need to be anesthetized. You have spent too much time trying to save yourself with what destroys you in silence. You called taste what was addiction. You called freedom what was escape. You called love what was neediness wrapped in a sweet voice, and now you are facing the truth. Pleasure was never the problem. The problem was using it as a hiding place, as a shortcut, as a narcotic. You don't want pleasure, you want peace, but you confuse the two. Because no one taught you the difference. Carl Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But who have you been? A man who hides behind the screen? Who surrenders to the touch of those who don't stay? Who distracts himself so as not to face his own soul crying for help? Do you want to breathe again? Do you want to go back to sleeping with a light head? Do you want to stop running after reliefs that charge dearly? Then be radical with your own conscience. Review your desires. Question every impulse. Look coldly at everything you call tasty and ask, does this strengthen me or weaken me? The answer will come, and it will be brutal, because a lot of what you love is destroying you little by little, and you know it. But still, you insist. Because the emptiness scares, because the silence is dense, because loneliness tastes like abandonment. But pay attention. It is in this abyss that the true man is born. Not with applause, but with decision. The day you say no to her, even with your heart begging yes. The day you refuse the easy relief and sit in the dark with yourself. The day you wake up and realize that you no longer need to seek anything to feel whole. That will be the day you are finally free. Not a man tamed by desires, but a warrior. Silent, untamable, impenetrable. You will continue seeking relief, or will you start cultivating presence? Will you continue begging for her attention, or will you build an internal world where she is no longer necessary? Will you continue crawling for pleasures that steal from you, or will you for the first time experience the taste of renunciation? You don't need to run away from who you are. You need to go back home, and in silence, rebuild. The true pleasure is in looking in the mirror and respecting the man you see, even when no one is watching, even when no one validates, even when she doesn't answer. This is the pleasure that does not charge. This is the pleasure that does not disappear. This is the pleasure you deserve. Like, if you came back. Comment if you are still on the battlefield. And share with those who still confuse pleasure with freedom.